And how is Mount St. Helens different or similar to Mount Rainier?
Mount St. Helens is different from Mount Rainier. Each volcano kind of has its own personality, its own style of erupting. Um, and in Mount St. Helens' case, it's a very explosive volcano. It tends to have large explosive eruptions of ash and pumice and bombs, big rocks being flying up into the air. And a lot of these eruptions are followed by the growth of lava domes. A good way to think of Mount St. Helens is it's almost like a giant head of broccoli, and the flowerets are lava domes, and then all the space in around it had been filled in with ash and pumice and thin lava flows. So the mountain had erupted in a variety of different ways, but mostly large explosive events. Um, uh, Mount Rainier, on the other hand, has a really different style of erupting. It tends to have more lava flows than explosive events. But the big thing that Mount Rainier does, it's a much larger volcano than Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens is 8,364 feet high, used to be 9,677. Mount Rainier is 14,410 feet high. It's got just a huge amount of glacial snow and ice on it. There's more ice on Mount Rainier than on all the other volcanoes in the Cascade Range combined. So you can imagine if you have an eruption of lava with lots of snow and ice, that snow and ice is going to melt, and it's going to start flowing down the slopes of the volcano, and it's going to create something called a mud flow or a lahar, which is kind of like a concrete-like flow of rock, debris, but it flows like a river. And these are probably the most dangerous things that come off volcanoes because they travel incredible distances and they follow river drainages, because that's where the drainage systems come off of volcanoes. And Mount Rainier has just had huge, huge, huge mud flows, much, much larger than anything Mount St. Helens has ever produced in terms of a mud flow. And that's the big difference between the two. Rainier is older, so it doesn't erupt as frequently, but because of the way it erupts, it's considered a much more dangerous volcano than Mount St. Helens is.